Hey there, everybody. This is Veronica Valley, and if you don't know me, I am a clinical psychotherapist. I will be sober for 20 years on May 2nd. I work as a sober coach. I'm the author of a couple of books and the creator of the Soberful program and the co-host of the Soberful podcast with Chip Summers. So Chip and I did a Q&A the other day, and a couple of people asked me, like, what are you doing working from home, managing your kids? Like, how is all of that working? Because I'm really struggling. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a quick workshop on this because I'm seeing this in a lot of places and in my group. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is parenting, being in crisis, homeschooling, staying sober, and staying sane. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So there's a couple of really important things to know right now. So when this all went off, I'm in the middle of my 4th week of lockdown, so almost a month. I know the UK is a little bit behind and other countries a little bit ahead of that, but we're all on lockdown. All of us have our kids home. All of us are trying to work and cope and deal with being at home. So for me, in terms of my work and my business, there's no change in that my business has always been online. It's always been on Zoom. It's always been on video. That in itself isn't different. What is different is my family's all here and I have been demoted into the bedroom. My husband has taken my office and I am in my bedroom. I get out of bed, I get everybody going for the day, and then I sit on my bed working and seeing clients and doing stuff like this. So that's where I am right now. And first of all, that was an adjustment, and now it's just what I do. So I want to talk first of all about how our brains operate when they are in crisis. So first of all, we are in crisis. We are in a crisis, and that affects our physiology. It affects how our brain operates, and it affects the results that we get. So to put this really, really simply, we can't operate in our lives on any level in the way that we do normally on a regular month, like how we did in February. That's not possible for us right now because our brain chemistry has changed and is altered. So it's important to know that. So if I remember seeing, like, as soon as the schools locked down, people were posting like, this is the schedule that we're going to do and this is our homeschooling. And I was immediately, oh, hell no. Absolutely not. I am absolutely not doing that. That immediately just had that just feels stressful looking at it. So I want to talk first of all about the homeschooling thing. And I know people have different kids at very different ages. So I'm going to talk about the younger kids first because my kids are younger, and I'm going to talk about the older kids in a minute. So the first thing is, this is not the first time in history that our education has been massively disrupted. 100 years ago, we went through 2 world wars, and certainly in Europe, that massively disrupted people's education. And you know what? Here's the difference. There's education and there's learning. And right now, our kids are not in formal education, but they are still learning. In fact, there's a saying that we should never let our education interfere with our learning. So this has happened before, and our kids got through it, and they still grew up and passed exams and got jobs and had careers and all of that kind of stuff. So our kids are going to be okay. A lot of the stress and pressure that you're feeling is internal stress, and it's the stress of the should. My kids should be doing this much amount of study each day. They should be handing in homework. They should be reading this amount of time. They should be doing science. They should be doing PE now. I personally, so I think like many schools, my school started doing a Google Classroom, and the teachers posted all these kinds of things. And I immediately ignored a lot of it. We are doing learning. So we are doing some of the stuff that's on Google Classroom that the teachers are posting, but we're not uploading it. We're just not doing that. My kids, just so you know, are 2nd grade and pre-K, so they're pretty young. They're 8 and 5. And I have no concerns about their learning and their education. So I bought some things, like I got some, like my son is doing his own comic book. So he's writing and being creative. We have some math apps on the iPad. So we have some science apps on the iPad. And thankfully, my older son is a very good reader. So the reading bit is not a problem. He goes and will read an hour easily every night, sometimes more. So, and we're outside as and when we can. That's where I'm leaving it. There is learning occurring in this house. Now, am I following the Google Classroom that our teachers laid out? No. Some of it, sort of, a bit here and there. Certainly using some of it, but I am not tying myself up in knots and killing myself to do it exactly as it's laid out, because that's very stressful. And if you're doing that, it's because you're shoulding on yourself. So let's just talk about shoulding on yourself. The word should is abusive. Never use it. Delete it from your mind. It is not a good thing. When we should on ourselves, all we're doing is beating ourselves up and saying you should have a time machine and go back in time and change and do that thing differently that you did. Does that make sense? So if we are going down the road of saying oh my God, we should have done more math, we should have done more science, we should have started earlier, we should have done all of those things, you're just going to make yourself really, really bad. So I want you to get rid of that and deal with what is. We had a late start to the day. They played Legos for 3 hours. Awesome, by the way, that's engineering and math. I was really stressed out with work calls, so they watched iPads for 2 hours. It really, in a perfect world, our kids should be in school. There shouldn't be the coronavirus, all of those kind of things, but it's not. We are in a crisis situation, so normal rules do not apply. So the whole rules, first of all, the rule about screen time does not apply right now, guys. Does not apply to your kids right now. It's really, really, really important that you know that. As soon as this started happening, I ordered an extra iPad so my kids would have an iPad each, because I knew they would be spending more time on the iPad. The only way I can be with you here right now is because my kids are on iPads. Now, I downloaded educational games. So a lot of the time they're doing educational games. It's still too much screen time. However, that's what we need to do to get through the day, all of us. To be sane, to be sober. It is not possible for me to provide this wonderful 5-6 hour homeschooling experience for my children every day. It's just not possible. I can't do that with my work commitments, my husband's work commitments, everything else. So what we're settling for is good enough. Now, being good enough will change every day depending on your circumstances. So you're good enough when, 2 months ago, that on a Wednesday, that's going to look very different to your good enough today. And this goes back to how our brain chemistry changes when we are in crisis. A lot of us, what is really important to know is that we are all in process right now. We are all in the grief process. A lot of those feelings that you're feeling, that's the grief process. We all went through the kind of disbelief, bargaining, I went through I have a trip planned at the end of April. Obviously, I'm not taking it now. But when the lockdown happened, early March, when this was still happening, I was like, yeah, it's all going to be over with then. It's going to be fine. Clearly, it's not. So we all went through sort of disbelief and bargaining, confusion. I definitely went through, I think the first week of lockdown, I found it very hard to concentrate. Couldn't focus on emails, couldn't focus on stuff. Again, that's because our brain is in crisis and it's trying to process things it can't understand. This takes a lot of energy because it's done in the subconscious mind. So here's the thing that's very important to understand about mindset. We live a lot of our lives on autopilot. We do that because it's energy saving. Now, all of us have good subconscious patterns and negative subconscious patterns. That's some of the work I do in my programs as I work on mindset. However, our good subconscious patterns would be Monday, I wake up, I know I have to be in the shower before 7 a.m. to make sure that everybody gets to school on time. And then like I'm just automatically thinking, right, swim stuff, soccer stuff, pick up. Like a lot of it, like walking to school, like the news comes on the radio at 8 a.m. I know that's the signal to start getting sneakers on and start walking to school. We do all of that on autopilot. When we drive our route to work, it's on autopilot. So the reason our brains do this stuff on autopilot, where we don't have to take much conscious mind energy, is because it saves energy and allows us to have more space to think about other things. What's happened is a lot of the stuff that we did on autopilot, we're not doing anymore. And we're having to spend time in our conscious mind thinking like, well, how are we going to do this then? Who's going to work where and at what time? And what are we going to do with the kids? And what is Google Classroom? How do I log on to Google? What's Zoom? Where do I get all of that takes effort and it's stressful. So our brains cannot operate in the same way that they do normally. So I really want you to surrender that. I really want you to surrender that you're just going to be homeschooling and everything's going to be the same and your husband will work these hours and you'll work these hours, because that won't happen, and you've probably already discovered that. So a lot of the stress and anxiety we're feeling is from our internal narrative in our head. The should. It should be like this. It should be like that. And because we are adjusting to dealing with crisis, we're like, going to the grocery store, like we've almost run out of fresh fruit and vegetable, but I'm not going to the grocery store till Saturday. We have enough food. Like we have some canned fruit. We'll be fine. It's not like anyone's going to get scurvy between now and Saturday. But I'm not, whereas before I just run to the store, pick up some fruit and some bread and whatever. We're not running to the store every other day. We're going once a week with gloves and masks. Who knew that going to the grocery store would be such a major procedure? But it is. So it's really important that we understand that we cannot operate to the same levels that we can before. Now, we are adjusting, and it's really interesting to me to see people from different countries and different places adjust to this. Like, because America was ahead of the UK on lockdown, when I saw the UK go on lockdown and I saw the whole kind of like disbelief, like the stress, the like, oh my God, homeschooling, we'd already been through that. We were through that bit. We were in the next bit. So know that you are going to process through lots of feelings and emotions in the grief process, the bargaining, the disbelief. There'll probably be some anger that's come up, anger at certainly at our kids for not doing what we need them to do when we have to do that really important email or whatever it is, anger at people not self-distancing, anger maybe at our partners, just anger at the situation in general. Notice that is your part of your process, those feelings of dealing with this situation. You may feel sadness. Sadness may come as well. That's part of the grief process. Frustration and fear as well is going to be part of the process. And sometimes we just, will cycle in and out of these. I've been about 80% okay, and 20% I've had some couple of bad days here and there. I want to talk about worry, because that's a really big problem for people. My bad days were when I went down a black hole of worry about my mum in the UK. So here's the thing about worry. Worry is an energy drain that's not going to serve or help you. However, what we can do about worry is when we find our thinking spiraling off about the what if, and that, and how's that going to work out? What am I going to do there? All of that kind of stuff. Stop, refocus, bring yourself to the present day, and focus on something you have control over right now. That's it. Because the thing is about worry, it's often about things we have no control over and we can't change. So what's the point? So every time you find yourself going into an anxious worry spiral, bring your focus back to the moment and what is the next action you can take. So for me with my mum, I was going down the whole, I don't know if I'll ever see my mum again. I don't know when I'm ever going to be able to travel to England. She's going to be all on her own. What if she falls? And she actually did fall. What if? There is nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do about that. I am absolutely powerless over this situation. But here's what I could do. I got online and I registered for all the local grocery stores. In England, it's Tesco's and Sainsbury's and Iceland, to try and get deliveries set up. I couldn't get a delivery, so I put something on Facebook and I had offers to help. In between that time, I was able to get a delivery organised, and my mum connected with someone from a local church who was going to help her. So taking action on things we can control will help enormously. That's all I could do. It made me feel better. It was a practical action. It was something I can do. I've also upped my contact in calling her and being in contact and that kind of stuff because she is on her own. That's all I can do. That's it. So take the action that you can change. When you find yourself getting really, really stressed and anxious, it's really important. A couple of things. Exercise and movement is vital right now. It's vital. When we move, we set off a serotonin kick in our brains, and serotonin is what we need to feel okay. So the first 2 or 3 days, I wasn't really doing that. I wasn't really planning that in my schedule, and I just felt so uncomfortable in my own skin. Now I've just been going for walks, and I've been just putting music in my headphones. I'm really enjoying my 80s playlist, my 80s and 90s playlist. I need music. I just want something to take me away. I just want some happy music, and a walk for an hour makes a massive difference. So you must be scheduling movement in your day. We had a couple of rainy days. So we put music on and me and the kids danced. And we danced for quite a while. I don't know if I burnt a whole lot of calories, but I got the serotonin kick. It just lifted. So we have to move. And now I feel like I'm in a schedule. I get up and I go for a run every morning. And that feels really good. And we also kind of walk at the end of the day or just play in the park or something like that. So making sure you're doing that is really, 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 really important. Now, there's a lot of anxiety about how long this will last. And there's a lot of stuff here about the unknown. And what that brings up in this is this need to be safe. That's what the panic buying was about. And that's what the toilet paper was about, was it just helped people feel safe. So people were doing things to try and feel safe. So that's when we start doing, like, I was ordering all this like dried food off Amazon because that just made me feel safe that I was doing something like that. So it just gets, we get kind of we get scared and we just want to feel safe. Again, we have no idea how long this is going to last. I want you to look at history and look at the big life-changing events in history. Even back to 500-600 years ago when we had the plague used to sweep Europe. Plague was very, very nasty. The coronavirus is nothing like the plague. Thank goodness. Thank goodness now we have sanitation. Thank goodness now we have doctors and scientists who really know what they're doing. So, but the thing is about the plague, we still survived. Life did carry on. It did end. People did continue. Progress did happen. Jobs and money circulated. The Second and First World War, people's lives were interrupted. Jobs, businesses changed, but we came through it. So it gives me a lot of comfort to know as a human race, we can get through it. The pandemic 100 years ago. We are going to get through this, but we need to sit with the uncertainty. And we need to accept and acknowledge our feelings in the uncertainty. A couple of last things about structure. So if any of you guys are coming to my 9 a.m. club, I usually do it Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. in the UK. The 9 a.m. club is like a 10-15 minute video where we do some EFT, a reading, talk about what's going on. And it's a way to ground ourselves and take responsibility for our mental health in a 24-hour period. That's something else I realized very early on. I have to take care of my mental health in this 24-hour period. I have to be very purposeful about it. I haven't done that for a while. I've always taken care of my mental health, but it's been very natural. I don't really think about it. And the stuff that I do lasts for a long time. So the stuff that I'm doing today to take care of my mental health is not going to last me till Sunday. It's only going to last me till tomorrow morning. And then I have to make a decision to take care of my mental health on Thursday, and then the same thing on Friday. And you need to do the same thing too. We need to make decisions to take care of our mental health in each 24-hour period. So the 9 a.m. club for me was the first couple of days were just all over like you probably felt the same way, like just like, whoa, like we got up late, nobody got dressed early. It was like Sunday and then another Sunday and then another Sunday. And then by the Tuesday, I realized I need this goal of the 9 a.m. club to get me going in the mornings. So by 9 a.m., I've exercised, I've showered, my makeup's done, everyone's had breakfast, the breakfast stuff is cleared away, the boys are dressed, and teeth are brushed. So everybody's starting the day at 9 a.m. Monday to Friday. So having something to something first thing, like whatever time works for you, that you're going to get up, be dressed, ready for the day for, is going to help your mental health hugely. It's really, really important. So that's why maybe join me in the 9 a.m. club if that time works for you, or find something else that 9:30, you're up and dressed for Monday to Friday. Now, here's the other thing about structure, because every day just feels like the same and we're all losing track of days and times. Human beings need two things. They need they need certainty, and they need uncertainty. So we need to have certainty, like our work and money coming in and all that kind of things. But we also need uncertainty. We also need routines messed up and change. We actually need both of those things in balance. And right now we have a lot of uncertainty, but we also have a lot of certainty in that every day just feels the same, right? There's every day. So we're trying to make our weekends feel a bit more like weekends. Like Friday, we do a movie night with the kids. Like Saturday, we don't do any work. We try and go out, even if we just go for a drive. And we try and do things a little different so that the weekends feel a bit different to the weekdays. So I hope you found that helpful. I'll post this video and send it around an email to people. But the biggest thing is take the pressure off yourself. Right now, with being at home with kids and working from home, all you want to aim for is good enough. And your good enough is going to be very different to how it was back in February. I panic bought like a bunch of dried food off of Amazon, and one of the things I bought was a box of Rice-A-Roni products, which you put hot water in and it's like cheesy pasta. My kids love it. My kids are eating it. They're not going to get scurvy. They're going to be fine. We're just doing good enough, and aim for that. Notice where you're shoulding on yourself of all the things you should do about your kids. They're going to be fine. The older kids, this is an opportunity for kids, first of all, to learn resilience. The older kids, I know a lot of kids are really, especially if they're seniors and they're missing out on prom and all of that kind of stuff. That's sad. It's sad. We might feel angry and frustrated about that. But you know what? Our kids will be okay. They will learn resilience, and they will learn different life skills that they wouldn't have otherwise. So let go of the control of the older kids and let them have this experience where they learn what they need to learn. If they're refusing to do any work whatsoever, part of me thinks like let them have that experience. And, I would definitely, with all the kids, like we were trying to have some kind of balance with screen times. They're not on screens the whole time. We want to have some restrictions to that as much as we can in any given day. But I think with the older kids, let them be bored. Let see what happens. Let's trust that inside of them, there's something inside of them that's calling them to grow and calling them to learn and to have a different experience. So all you can do is the best you can do. And I want you to leave this workshop giving yourself permission that all you're going to do is the best you can. And that is going to look very, very different to how it does any other day. Just want to answer a quick question there from Elizabeth about what about older kids? My kids are in their early 20s and home to get out of New York City. So I'm just going to say, Elizabeth, they're not kids, they're adults. They're young adults, and you are not responsible for their experience. So let go of the control. They're adults. If you have young adults that have come home from college, they're adults. Let them, it's not up to you to fix it, entertain them, make them study, make them do their work. Let them have their own experience because they are adults now. So that's the mindset I would think about that. So just to let you know, those of you who are not members of the Sober for Life online sober program, enrollment for that closes tomorrow. The Sober for Life online sobriety program is $23.99 a month. Chip and I facilitate facilitate a lot of workshops, support groups. We have one almost every day where we are supporting people. We were giving people coping strategies. We have a workshop coming up on the true cost of drinking, which really helps people get rid of the fear of missing out, all of that kind of stuff. So that's going to be that's closing tomorrow. The link is in my bio, or the link is in the description here if you want to join. As soon as you join, you get access to the community. It's all over the world. People are offering lots of different support. You can come to the workshops, you can watch the videos, and you can come to the recovery groups. But enrollment for that closes tomorrow, so you need to join that now. Older kids. Joe's asked me, older kids. I think that is subjective and varies. 11-year-old constantly on her phone. I'm going to say, if you have to work, like if I have to work, my kid's going to have to be on screens or watching a movie, because I can't work otherwise. When I'm not working, we have boundaries around the digital media. So when you are not working, have boundaries around the digital media as best you can. So on a Sunday, like, we had to clean our house because we're not having our cleaner, and I'm raising feminist sons, and that was a wonderful opportunity right there for my kids to learn what it's like to clean a house. And sure, they messed around, sure, they were playing swords with the duster, whatever, but we didn't let up. They had to come and do stuff in each room. And there's no way I'm not letting them play in the park while I'm cleaning the house. Everybody needs to learn that skill. So yeah, there's lots of different, I would just tell you one app I got my son is a touch typing app called Animal Typing. Again, it's fun. It's like a game. And if he leaves with the skill of learning how to touch type, awesome. Don't be pressured that everyone has to leave with a skill and a new hobby and a repainted house or anything like that. In crisis, your brain operates differently. So we have to really kind of give ourselves a break on that, and really try and just get through doing the best we can on any given day. I hope you'll join me in the Sober for Life program. I'm going to be doing a support group tomorrow. Come along to that. If you join, you can come along to as many as you want, and come along to the workshop that we're doing in Sober for Life on the true cost of drinking, because that's a really great workshop if you are worried about if you want to stop drinking but you still have FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's a great workshop to take part in. Okay, join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the 9 a.m. club. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.